very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Lauren Gaggioli, purpose-driven digital entrepreneur, SEO, and organic marketing expert, online course creator. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me, AJ. I'm excited to be here.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form, and not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we'll be talking about. And we'll be talking about, why we should just most invest more time on Google and not just on social media. So that is the first question in itself, Lauren, is that why do you say so? Help us understand this, because almost everybody is spending their time on social media, including digital entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend any time on social. However, the point of social, the way that they make their money is through ad revenue. Same with Google, right? Google makes money the same way. However, Google is the ultimate matchmaker. It does not want to keep you on its platform. It wants to connect a person who has a problem with a person who has a solution for that problem. And the way they do it is through keyword optimized blog posts. They pair that query with the person who meets that search intent. When you're making that play in social, it's a lot harder. It's a longer play to get people to feel comfortable with you, and you can't be as targeted, because in the social sphere, the whole point is to keep you on the platform. The ads only work if you stay there. And so that's why we see, Instagram building out, their own sort of e-commerce platforms within the social mechanism. I would far rather be able to meet the right person at the right time that they need what I have to offer. And the way I do that is through SEO optimization and meeting them through Google. And so we want to spend more time and start with sort of the lion's share of our resources going to Google, because the other thing that's really powerful is that if you write a blog post today, it can be found in 2 years. And this is what I found with my first company. I built up organic traffic on my first website to about 200,000 new users through organic search per year. That's 16,000 new people, new prospects coming to my doorstep each and every year. Even each and every month for 2 years running. And I wasn't creating much new content in that time because I was very busy, new mom, and we moved our family in that time. And I was kind of full-time momming and handling the domestic duties. So that's really what solidified this for me, is that it's a long tail play. You get to reap the benefits for years to come. And then you can parse those really hefty blog posts and seed them out into social. But all roads should lead back to your website, because Google is tracking who's coming back time and time again. That's where your email list can be a really powerful tool in organic search as well. So I just really feel like if you're going to spend time anywhere, it should be with Google first. And then if you want, you can disseminate it through the other channels. But thinking about all roads leading to your website and having a well-researched plan, that's where it starts.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's understand it better. Even I would like to understand it as so many, online businesses, especially small businesses, is that
Yes.
what does it mean spend more time on Google? Should I just go on Google and start typing and searching things? How does that work? Or should I just go and start building blogs, use AI and keep on adding blogs to my web page? Or what are the things that people should know, what we are not aware about? And where does YouTube or any other Google tools come into the picture? Help us understand, so that it becomes our almost like a tech stack, Google tech stack, because there are hundreds
Yes.
of things in Google. Many people don't know about it. Those who know, though, they don't get the time to do that, so that this will be acting as a reminder. Secondly, in terms of the social media, as you said, it's not that don't spend time there, but then how do I prioritize that in terms of which are the ones where we'll be spending time. Thirdly, in this we have been talking a lot about building your own communities, and that is where a lot of businesses also started getting into newsletters and all that stuff. Which where does this fall in? It falls into Google side, or it falls into, you know, the social media side. Help us understand this. This is not an easy thing. You are
It's
an
not.
expert of this, and that is where, you know, every insight will help to a lot of, especially small businesses, small entrepreneurs, especially those who are doing stuff online. So several things at the same time, they are so interrelated. I thought,
They
why not
are.
together put them all to you so that you can answer them at your own pace.
Great. Well, I love that you kind of group them together because this is how I think. I think we have a lot of practitioners who are solopreneurs and are like domain experts in a particular. So we have SEOs and we have copywriters and we have, email sequence copywriters and conversion copywriters who do your sales pages and all these things. As a solopreneur, I know two things. I am cash strapped and I am time strapped. And, I homeschool my kids. Like I'm doing this all on my own. So let me just assure you, if you're scared because it feels overly technical or overly time labor intensive, then, I can tell you that as a solopreneur, I have done it. I've done it well, and I have reaped the rewards. You can make a lot of money on the internet if you're layering over a strategic approach that makes good sense. So, top line, Google does not send traffic to a site that is not well crafted and well thought out. You do need a strategy. So, using page speed insights to do a little audit of what's going on your site, and then thinking about your site for the bots and for the human. So, the hierarchy of your site, how are your content verticals crafted? This is something I help with. So, if somebody's like lost and really scared, I think of this as the organic marketing ecosystem. It's that connective tissue that matters. It's not just about one thing or the other. So the technical is a piece, but the technical can then lead us to insights around the human who is using our site. So we want to assess our site. That's first, because Google's not going to send it to us if we're loading slowly. Maybe we need to do some technical upkeep. I have WordPress developers that I partner with that I love, who are just really amazing and quick and not that expensive. So you can either learn it yourself, or, which I'm a DIYer, I'll do it for my own site, but some folks really want to like just outsource it. And that's like the first place to start. Make sure your site looks pretty in mobile, desktop, loads fast, your images are properly sized. If you don't, you're going to struggle to rank. The second thing we want to do is come at it through the lens of keyword research. Now, I use a tool called Ahrefs, and it's a paid tool, but they have a free keyword planner. And keywords come down to this: what's the phrase that's being searched in Google? What's the difficulty, which means on a scale of 1 to 100, how easy, 1, or hard, difficult, 100, is it to rank for that keyword? It just shows you how crowded a space it is. And then lastly is volume, which is your average monthly searches for that term. I promise you, every industry I've ever researched for clients, for myself, there is opportunity out there that is untapped because most people are not leveraging this strategy to just do keyword research. And we do it with an eye on how can we meet Google's bots with really clear intention, by having our URL structured appropriately, by having a really clear title, by having our headers blocked out, maybe having a table of contents, having images that are optimized for SEO. So it's you layer all that into a really robust blog post, while also keeping in mind the human on the other side of the screen who typed that query into Google. Where are they? What journey do they need to take? What is their transformation, their easy win, one step that you can facilitate? And then how do you welcome them in to your ecosystem? So there's, the internet at large, then there's Google. Everybody goes to Google for SEO because they're the ones who are most transparent about what they use. And we have the most data about those keywords. If Google starts ranking you, other search engines will follow. And then zeroing in a little bit more, how do we keep people engaged with us? Because Google's tracking whether people come back to your site. If people come to your site and leave immediately, it shows you didn't meet that search intent. It shows your site loaded really slow. It shows that you lost them. And so thinking about those behavior indicators, if they join your email list and then in your newsletter, not only do you say, hey, this month we wrote this amazing blog post, come and read it over here. And you bring them back to your site and then they're on your site and reading it. Or you send them in the Wayback Machine and you say, in this nurture sequence that I've created, here's a blog post that I wrote a while back, but it's still relevant and I love it. And I think it's going to serve you. And you keep bringing them back via your email list. Using that email list to do that is really powerful stuff. You can get sales pages to rank. So my course about SEO and everything else, I didn't do much SEO work and already it's ranking for organic marketing course. So organicmarketingecosystem.com if you want to see sort of the structure and how I did that. But there's a lot to it. But once you understand the layers and you go step by step, you go, oh, this isn't that hard. I can just rinse and repeat. Now, AJ, you mentioned AI. I am a very late adopter. I want to use the timeless principles. I don't want to jump at the latest new things. So keep AI in its box. It is good as a research tool. I have a copywriter, an SEO copywriter that I work with. She uses AI to see where the knowledge gaps are. So she'll read a couple iterations of a post and go, nobody's come at it through this lens. Let me add a new wrinkle. And so she uses it as a research tool, but never just rely on AI because people know when they're reading robots. Even if they can't say this is AI for sure, especially those of us who are readers will be like, something's a little off here. So it's not just about cranking out quantity. It's about quality for sure and optimizing every step of the way. Now, with regard to inviting them in to your email list, I think having a singular, so this is where like having those verticals, like I speak about purpose and I speak about organic marketing and I speak about solo entrepreneurship, which includes things like mindset. So I think about each of those verticals differently and I try to have a single road. So each of those things goes to a single free opt-in and a single paid option. So my call to action for each is really clear. I'm welcoming people in every single time. If somebody comes in on those verticals, I'm tagging them into Active Campaign, which is what I use as my email marketing tool. And I can tag when somebody comes in on a particular branch and say, this person is more interested in purpose. So that's probably somebody who's not necessarily an entrepreneur, might be, but not necessarily an entrepreneur. Where if you come in the organic marketing, maybe you are with a company or you're a fractional organic marketer, or you are a solopreneur. And then the solopreneur track is pretty clear. So having a single free offering, having it really custom tailored to that track. And I also use Thrive Themes as my WordPress themes, and I use it to run all my courses, Thrive Architect. I love it. It's very powerful as both a marketing and a WordPress management tool. So those are sort of the arrows in my quiver. And I absolutely love leveraging tech to take stuff off my plate. It's a heavy lift on the front end, but then I can play. Right? I have a lot of the support mechanisms built in. The paths to purchasing from me are built into the nurture sequences. Once they're built, I don't have to do that again. And so, yes, it's a heavy lift, but if you feel like you're screaming into a void, if you feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the walls every time you come up with a piece of marketing content, if you feel like you're throwing arrows in the dark or darts in the dark and nothing is hitting, then keyword research is where you need to go, because it shows that the words you're using, the language you're using isn't quite matching what people are trying to find. And for those of us who are practitioners in a particular vertical, we can feel like we have all this knowledge and it's not getting out to the people who need it. I felt this way. I had an ACT and SAT prep program initially. It's a very crowded space, but I found those little gems and I started answering the questions that were being asked, not just that I thought were being asked, but that were actually being asked and verified by keyword research. And when I did that, I was able to write a slew of blog posts that met that intent and brought them in. Now, I hadn't quite figured out the conversion piece at that point. More's the pity for me and my bank account. But the reality is I did help folks along the way. And I did support a great many folks. And, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's sort of the Pareto principle. If you do, the 20% that gets you 80% of the way there, you can have a really healthy business, even when you're letting some of the stuff fall through the cracks. So it's really powerful. When we have a real problem, we don't ask Facebook. When we have a real problem, we go to Google. So I call him Uncle Google because I want to be invited to Thanksgiving at his house and I want to invite him over anytime I possibly can. So when it comes to, I'm a big deal on TikTok or Insta or whatever, like I don't care, because the problem is you're going to be hard pressed to get people off that platform. And I think that is the place where you nurture community. Now, I do think too, the thing about community is you're making a low price point, high volume play. And so if you don't have traffic to your site, that is going to be really, really hard. Now, maybe you are a big deal on TikTok or Instagram. Great. How many of those people are just there to peruse or, just observe and sit there on the outside and kind of go, I'm engaged, but I'm not really engaged. Whereas when someone has a problem, they're leaning in. They're like, please, somebody help me. So the idea of meeting the right person at the right time, you simply cannot do that as consistently in Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or any of the social platforms. Now, that said, YouTube is owned by Google. So I personally, this is like a next level strategy. I have been writing about purpose. My site is finally ranking. Google knew me as an entrepreneur. So when I started doing um, purpose-driven content, when I started writing about that to drive to my course, Big Why Life, they kind of went, what? And so I didn't rank very quickly. However, my sales page for my online mastermind did rank quickly, as did my organic marketing, because they're like, oh, she's the entrepreneur. I had to, shift a little bit and go, hey, Google, I also do this. And I'm just starting to rank for a book about, or a post about books, my favorite books about purpose. My next level strategy is to leverage YouTube, not to grow a YouTube channel, but to have an SEO optimized video that is embedded on my site and also on YouTube links back to that post, because again, that's another little branch of the Google mechanism. So you can get visible to Google and say, hey, I'm using your thing. Like, don't put that on. I use Vimeo for my courses that I need gated, all the gated content. I use Vimeo because I can lock it down and have more strong privacy considerations and security considerations at play. But for anything front facing on my site, for anything in front of the paywall, I'm leveraging YouTube. I'm putting in SRT files. I'm writing a really strong description. They're not going to be the prettiest videos, but they are going to be solid on their content. And again, that's that 80-20 principle. I just need to get it out there. And as a solopreneur, if I try to spend forever making it perfect, no one will ever hear from me. So does that sort of answer all three of those amazing questions that you presented?
Yes, indeed, indeed, indeed,
Wonderful.
indeed. And so let's look at the social media now.
Yeah.
How should a online entrepreneur look at the social media? How should they pick and choose? Because already they are in trouble, and you see. So, and how do you look at LinkedIn? Because that looks to be still some good conversation going on. But online entrepreneur, how should he or she look at LinkedIn and as well as the others, and then plan their strategy?
So I think it really comes down to your business, right? It comes down to where your people are. I think I did this at first, right? I was like, with my higher scores test prep, I was like, I'm an ACT and SAT person and I have something to share everywhere. And I like signed up for all the things and went, oh my gosh, this is impossible. Solopreneur, like I don't want to hire somebody. I want to do it myself. I can't do everything. So really think about your avatar. Where are they? This is why I love Google. When someone has a problem, they show up in Google, they type in
Right.
the problem, you can address them and give the solution. However, um, I think LinkedIn, I honestly hadn't been on there for a while, but as I started to step into serving online entrepreneurs, I started going back and went, oh, this has shifted because it's gone through a little like, woo, roller coaster of change. So it does seem, I think, like a really great place to be. Um, I personally, again, think that it's about where your avatar is. And then I think you think about the content you like to create. So I love Instagram from the standpoint of like, I don't have a business account. Like I'm using it as social. So if you want to come and know me more personally, like sometimes I'll put something about what I do in business. And then sometimes it's a picture of my kids, at a forest theater watching a show. Like this is
Right.
very much what it is. It's about my real life because I don't want to have a presence necessarily tied to my business because I don't want to manage it. Um, I think people are tired of being sold to on social. So I think if you can use it as an awareness building tool or to make connections or to engage with others, to ask really interesting questions, I think that that's like the best way to use it and to maybe say like for instance that idea of the 9 books I about purpose that I wrote, that blog post, if I sort of tip it on its side, right? It's a full robust blog post. It's 9, and so it's very very word heavy. It's going to have a video, all the things. If I kind of tip it on its side and say I am going to share over the next 9 days some of my favorite books about purpose, come play along, right? And I can present a single book at a time, and that can be my social snapshot for that day. I think that's absolutely viable. So you think of it as like if you aren't familiar with it, Google the term sideways sales letter. It's the way that I used to write my sales copy for my email list with higher scores. It's the way that I think works when I say all roads lead back to your website. I think leveraging the sideways sales letter methodology, where you sort of tip everything on its side and give people more bite sized chunks, it's a great way to sort of chunk up your blog content and say, hey, if you want more, this is just one piece of this article I wrote over here. Come on over. So when people say, is blogging dead? You might just want to call it an article. And then people will be like, oh, yes, writing is still viable. So, and you can say human written, and now that's like, oh my gosh. So, human written articles are the new blogs. And so, if you start thinking of creative ways to get people back to your site, because Google sends more traffic to sites that are trafficked. It's that like, it's almost like law of attraction, right? The more you seed it yourself, if you do have a nice following on social, or your mom and uncle want to see what's going on, your friends are like, what do you do? Then start putting it out on social. Start dropping just little drops in the bucket, but always include, this is where I love stories and highlights on Instagram, because you can put that link and it lives forever. So I use stories and then I aggregate them so that people can just click the link, because link in bio is annoying. And
Right.
I hope Zuckerberg fixes that someday.
There is so much of information, good information you shared, but and there is
Thank
so
you.
much to learn from you, and I think this one episode will not be enough for that. For that, people will need to come to you and learn from you, and for also people who would like to do business with you, what's the best way for them to learn and also earn better through your services?
Absolutely. So I have an itchy brain, so I create a lot of things. So I really love working with solopreneurs. I have such a heart for online business folks. It is a tricky business, and we have, like I said, so many of those people who are really good in their verticals, but not many people who are connectors, who are linking those various skills and tools and trying to show you the full roadmap. Um, I really love to support folks with that. So one way that I do that is my mastermind. It is pay as you go, drop in, offered twice a week. I cap it at 6 entrepreneurs, so you get lots of time. So it's a group coaching methodology. But if you use the discount code FRIEND, you get your first session for $25. So it's really a screaming deal. I just love it, fills me up to get to know folks. So that's all listed at laurengaggioli.com, which I'm sure you'll link in the show notes. If
Right.
you are feeling lost and a little rudderless and like your copy isn't clear, you're really kind of disconnected from your sense of purpose, or you're overworking, you're really letting your self-worth fluctuate with your bank account and your P&L, then Big Y Life is a way to start to untangle that. So that's my course about purpose. So bigYlife.com, also available on my main site, but just a direct link is, I think, helpful. And then for the SEO piece, if you need help getting more traffic, more eyeballs to your site, please consider joining Organic Marketing Ecosystem. I'm doing another live led round this fall, and then it's going to be available forever on my website. So organicmarketingecosystem.com. This is my favorite thing because it's a heavy lift at first, but the time it frees up, I will tell you, by the end of running Higher Scores, before I sold that company, I was working 4 hours a week and making 4 or 5 figures a month. And that's really powerful as a basically full-time mom, just emailing folks. That is what I was able to create. And it was only because I had Google on my side. So if you want to understand sort of the full arc, not just how do I get more traffic, but how do I convert more traffic to engage with me, and how can I help more people? Like, really, that's the core of it. And so if you would like to learn more, that's organicmarketingecosystem.com.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.